Hey guys, going live here. I'm not sure. This is going to be a new computer actually I'm using with a lot more video RAM, a different microphone that might not be as good, and also using a different camera, which I don't think is going to be as good either, but it might be a little more smooth. So let me pop out the chat here and take a look and make sure that I'm not clipping or having any audio issues. One second, let me bring up the I had the chat popped out earlier already. Let me make sure this is here. There we go. I'm gonna write a testing, audio and video. Anyway, looking to do a few new ones tonight with you guys. Thanks for stopping by. As always, great show, Scotch for Dummies, and thanks for the shout out after your all show. Gonna warm up with a Lochnagar. It's a 12-year Royal Lochnagar is the full name you'll usually see, and it's supposed to be a really nice, smooth, um, pure whiskey. The only complaint I've seen, I've never tried it before, but the only complaint I usually see is the coloring issue, um, which for a 12-year it is a little dark, but you know hopefully that won't take away from the just a nice clean whiskey is what I hear, floral and sweet, and it's probably going to be reminiscent of the Dalwhinnie 15, I'm guessing. That's kind of like my bar I set when I'm looking at whiskeys. Thanks a lot for the audio and video feedback, guys, as well. But the Royal Lochnagar is what we're going to start with, and hopefully that'll pan out. And my friend Tom Mara is joining me tonight. He's going to also be taking a look at this nice new bottle I was able to find finally after months and months of tracking, the Springwood 14 Bourbon Wood. This is a tough one to find. It's 55.8 ABV. It's 9,000 bottles, distilled in 2002, bottled in 2017. So it is a newer bottling. I think what happened was they had made this and bottled it probably last couple of years and ran out. And it was such a popular one that actually did sell out that they actually probably made some new make on that, and I'm glad to see it because I never had a chance to try it, and looking forward to doing that. And Tom's going to put some comments on what he's getting from the bottle as well. I've already poured the Lochnagar 12 just to get a little air, and as a finale, I'm going to do the Glendronach Peated Portwood 46%. It's a special sample I got from my friend Lee, Mr. Lee. Thank you so much. Going to be using your Glencairn. You sent me the Johnston Glencairn. You can't get better than that, my friend. And the Lochnagar came from, I believe that's Pragnay in our group. Pragnay is another good friend that we trade different offerings back and forth and try to hit everything in Scotland. It's going to take a while. I missed a couple of the first rounds, but I'm catching up, and eventually it's going to take me a while to catch up. I've done over 130 different whiskeys, samplings, and bottles and such, but as far as videos, it's going to take me a while to catch up with all those, and some of them might be really hard because some of these are going to be one-offs that I probably will never get again. Bottlings like the Dark Cove Committee release, things like that. Hopefully someday I'll find it again, but that's going to be a tough one. But anyway, let's go and look at the Royal Lochnagar 12. That's a good starting one, clean. You always want to end with your peated whiskeys, your stronger notes, your heavy sherry bombs, things like that. I figure if I go Lochnagar 12, and then we'll take a look at the Springbank 14 Bourbon Wood, and then we'll end with the peated Glendronach, and I think the Portwood will be a nice finish on that, and go from there. All right, I got some notes up here. Just nothing. The Royal Lochnagar is not a very well-known distillery here in the United States. They don't sell it very much directly here. I've noticed that they do use it for blends, I believe. From what let me make sure I'm in the right area here. or as compared to a lot of whiskeys, at least that are, I think, used, if they don't use it in blends, that it's at least that type of profile. Well, it might be a little one-dimensional, but you never know. It all depends on what you get out, and always try a little bit of water, see what you get. That's a nice nose right off the bat. There's more sweetness in this than a typical really light whiskey like a Dalwhinnie. Um, Sweet and a lot of fruit off the bat too. There's some floral properties in there. Some, I want to say some jasmine. A lot of fruit though. A lot of sweet fruit like white grapes and pears. Some light cherries, not the dark stuff, but the light cherries. Anyone else had the Royal Lochnagar 12 before? I'm just curious. I might catch up with some comments here. Tramdu is going to come back about for the Glendronach. That's cool. And hard time opening the bottle for Tom. Yeah, hopefully I won't have a hard time with this guy. Tom, if you look on the back of your bottle, does this say it was bottled in August of 2017? I'm just curious if you had the same bottle or if it was an older one. That sometimes I notice affects the opening. I had a Tomatin Decades, which is a really good dram, but the cork disintegrated when I opened it. I think it's for a bottle from 2015, maybe 14, and I think that's why the cork disintegrated on me, because it was such an old bottle. But I don't know. That's a guess. Might not have been stored correctly too. Santa Cruz City was fortunate enough to get the cast strength 12 of Springbank. Yeah, that is a really good one. I enjoyed that one on the side. Before I've had this one, I had I've got the 10, the 12 cast strength, a 12 Burgundy, which I got the idea from Scotch for Dummies. Great bottle if you like heavy Burgundy wine influenced dram. The Springbank 13 Green, which I am going to do a review on eventually. And I already did one on the 19 port cask, which was really, really good. Anyway, back to the Lochnagar 12. This is funny because this is reminiscent to me of a Hibiki, which is a Japanese distillery that does, I'm sorry, not distillery, but a blend. Very, very high profile, sweet nose. I mean, the nose is really good. It's better than I expected it to be, so that's a plus. And I've heard that the Royal Lochnagar 12 is not a pricey bottle. I'm looking to see if I see any prices up here. I believe that it's at the highest. I think that it was about. Well, it's not listing it here. I'm going to say probably the $60 to $70 range, but since it's only found overseas, it might be a little more to get it over to the States. So you got to throw shipping costs in there. Oh, Tamar's already opened his bottle of the Springbank. We'll get to that in a bit. Yeah, Travis, I finally found the bourbon wood. It took me a while, but I lucked out finally. But I think it's a little more prevalent now where you can find it easier. I think they made another run recently. Santa Cruz says he loves the 15 Springbank. Great stuff. I have not tried the 15 yet. That's on my radar. And Tom says this bottle was bottled at the same time, August 2017 as well. So that's cool. We'll be drinking the same juice, which is always good to kind of compare. Where did y'all get the 14? Been hunting for that in the States. Samuel Cask. I found this. Let me think. This one was from a store. I'm trying to remember. I think it was Bounty Hunter in California was the name of it. You might have to do some Google searches on it, but it was not cheap though. I think they're charging like $150 for it. Don't quote me on it, but I think that was the rate on this. I have to go back to receipts and look to get more information. Write me an email though, telex@outlook.com. I'd be happy to try to help you out in getting a bottle. I'm looking at some more of the comments here. Gawkin says he hasn't tried, hasn't had any of these yet. Oh, that's good. Well, hopefully, this will at least get you in tune with what you might be interested, trying. Yeah, the Samacast one, that Portwood, that Springbank 19 Portwood is $2.90. And is it worth it? I think for a 19-year-old Springbank, I know it sounds crazy, but I think it is worth it. That was my take. There's a lot going on. If you want a complex, well-rounded whiskey where you can sit down and get 10 to 15 different solid notes in it without really. I mean, you might put a couple drops of water, but you don't really have to play around with the water much to get a lot out of it. I think it's well worth your time. That's just me. So. All right, let's go for a sip on this. I've been nursing this way too long. That's the palate is a little more floral forward than I expected. The fruit on the nose is not so much there on the palate, but that might not be a bad thing for those of you that are not really into the real sweet, heavy sweet, heavily sweet, cloyingly sweet drams. I do like a sweet dram on occasion. This definitely has more of I'd say more of a Dalwhinnie 15 clean kind of smooth taste with the vanilla, the floral notes, a buttery finish. The only thing I'm going to knock this for, other than the possibility of coloring, which I am very highly, suspicious of, chill filtering was not stated, and I'm assuming that it is, chill filtered. Unfortunately, it's also only 40% ABV, which is on the low side. I think that is the minimum. It doesn't taste mild. It's got I wouldn't say a burn, but it's got, you can definitely taste the little bit of heat in there. But it's a nice flavor. It's better than I expected, but I wish the fruit was more prevalent, more profound in the palate as it is the nose and the sweetness. It smells dead up like a Hibiki 21 or Hibiki 17. It's crazy. The nose is really nice. The palate's good, but it's not as good as I was hoping. Maybe one of the older years of the Royal Lochnagar would be, maybe have that. This is only a 12, so Hmm. Anybody else had the Royal Lochnagar 12? I'm just curious. I don't think anyone's had it yet, but it's not bad. I mean, I'm not sure if it's going to be worth the extra money to get it to the States if it's more than, let's say, 60, 70. But it's got some nice, interesting finish. More of the finish has more of a Concord, like a purple, deep grape finish to it. The sweetness comes in the finish too. Let's see how long it lingers. Just give it a second here. I wouldn't touch with water. It's too delicate at 40%. I think it would ruin it. And it tastes so good and smells delicious that I'm not gonna, if it's not broke, don't fix it. The odds of you getting something out of a 40% whiskey, if you already enjoy the nose and the palate, I mean, maybe put a couple drops if you have a lot. I don't have a lot of this, so I'm gonna relish it. If I got a bottle, I probably would play a little more with the water on it, but I'd say it's a medium finish. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna have to give this out of. I do a 5-star rating, 0.25 increment. I'm gonna say think it's a nice 3.5. I could definitely see this sipping this more often in the summer, though. It's definitely a nice summer sipping fire, you know. Maybe I think it would work well with food if you're going to be eating while you have some scotch. I think it would go well together. I'm still letting this Glendronach air out. Let's go ahead and open up this Springbank. If I didn't say the number, yeah, I think I'm at 3.5 on that last one. I think it's pretty good. Solid. Didn't blow my socks off complexity-wise by any means, but I would much rather drink that than a lot of the recent 21-year-old just off distilleries like the Tormore 21. It was okay. I've had a Glen Spey recently that really didn't do it, you know, a lot for me. A Glen Ord, a Glenbergie, Glenbergie was another one. So it's definitely worth it. I think Royal Lochnagar, if you like a sweet dram, if you like a clean one, I think it's worth it. All right, let's see. Let's get us a fresh glass here, and let's see if this quart is okay for me coming out here. Oh, that was easy. That was easier than I thought it would be. That's always a good thing. Sorry, Tom, that you were having problems with it. Samuel, it's Telex, that's TELEX at outlook.com. TELEX at outlook.com. Let's go ahead and pour us a bit and see. We might have to head on and do because I'm gonna have to let that breathe a bit to do it a little justice. Maybe we might have to hit I don't know, the peat might destroy my palate. We'll let it sit for a bit and go over some comments real fast here. Tom R says in Chicago, Benny's has got the Bourbon Wood a week or two ago. 119 for the 14 and 79 for the 12 cast strength. Wow, that's a great price. Because I think the 14 in California for the Bourbon Wood was going for like close to 150. The cast strength 12 here I know is at least 1 to 110. So if you get it for $30 cheaper in Chicago, that's an awesome deal. I don't know. I don't think Benny's delivers to Maryland though, unfortunately, which is really sad because I bet they have some really good prices. But we'll see. Tamar says he doesn't get the burn on the nose for the Bourbon Wood, but you do get tongue tingles, but not too hot. That's a good deal. Are you going in neat on that, Tom? I'm just curious if you just went straight neat with the 55.8. It's pretty hot. I do like to go in neat. I'm gonna go ahead and have it chipped too. While where did I put my chips? Oh, they're there. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, neat. I hear you. I usually try to do neat first just to see how it goes, even if it is 55.8. But I will be adding a little bit to it after we go in neat. That's for sure. Tamar says they can't deliver anymore. They've had 50% off sale last weekend. Wow. That's unbelievable. That's a great deal. Was that 15%? Was the $79 for the cast strength 12? Was that after the 15% off sale? That would make sense because that's about a good price for that. It's a lot off of the Bourbon Wood 14. That's the cheapest I think I've seen that. Maybe I got it for 130 or 40 though. I'll have to go back and look, but those are some really, really good prices. All right, well, let's have a little water first here, just for cleansing. Oh, the price was the normal price. Damn, if you got 15% off the 80 for the cast strength, holy moly, man, that'd be awesome. Yeah, you got them with the additional 15% off. Wow, I need to come to Chicago and do some whiskey shopping. That's for sure. I've got my sister-in-law and brother-in-law lives in Bolingbrook, so I might have to come out and stake out Benny's if it's. I'm not sure how far it is from there, but it might be worth the trip. just to they have a dog, and I'm allergic to dogs, unfortunately. But maybe maybe I'll get lucky and I don't know, talk my wife into going and visit for a little bit and having some time to look around and do some whiskey shopping. When I was out there last, I think that's where I got. No, that was Maine. I was trying to remember if I got anything out of Chicago. When I was in Maine visiting, I got the Carriages 2016 Madeira cask, which was really great. That's a Lefroy offering, and that was an awesome trip. But I don't think I've ever tried to get anything from Chicago. Oh, you're right. Dead on. Green apples, big time. Wow. You definitely get that bourbon, that that cast, that oak, in a good way. It's not overly woody, dark wood tone. It's more of a lighter, crisp. It already smells really good. Get my quick blow here. Oh, yeah. Get a little bit of that Dunnage warehouse, that leathery goodness. I like to say. I love Springbank for that. Oh my. Yeah, Santa Cruz. What are you drinking tonight? Excuse me. Yeah, very nice wood influence. I get a lot of I get a little bit of excuse my voice for a second. We get a little more water. I get a little bit of the I want to say some more toffee caramel in there too. On like the back end. Apple's really nice. I get some cinnamon I think in there too. You got really got to dig deep, but it's a really nice flavor just off the bat, I'd say. Santa Cruz is doing a Delback Dorado Daniel. Is that a wine? Oh, it's whiskey. Is that a bourbon? I'm not familiar with the Delback Dorado Daniel. Yeah, Tomer was talking about the caramel not being like a rum. It's more, yeah, it's definitely subtle, soft back end, like more like not like a caramel apple or that kind of like real sticky. It's more of like your like a real light caramel you would put on like a sundae with like strawberries, that kind of thing. Wow, that's a nice nose. I can't wait to taste it. Wow, you're right. That is not hot for 55.8. Wow, that reminds me of I mean it's not heavily peated like an Octomore, but it has that smooth, intense rush of flavor that an Octomore has because of the high peat content. Now this, even though it's high alcohol, it's more of the cask, the wood and the bourbon and it's all of that right in your face, but it's real pleasant. Mm. Yeah, the vanilla is so the coating. It's a really nice heavy mouth coat. The oil with the vanilla, I think, puts like a protective bubble around the hotness of the alcohol, and you get the bourbon wood that still is able to come through without being overwhelming. I'm interested to see what a couple drops does. I'm not going to put much at all because it is damn good neat actually for 55.8. That's surprising. Just to see if we get anything else like floral wise or herbal or sometimes you get lucky and get some strange things that you didn't really see coming, like medicinal properties, iodine, things like that. I don't think this is going to have any tannins, and I certainly know it's not going to have any sherry type notes, but I'm just talking like a couple drops. That's all we really need on this guy, if at all. I mean, this is one you could definitely sip neat and not think twice about it. And for 55.8, it's just like it sounds crazy, but there are some 57s I've had that are from Ardbeg that are similar to that, where you can actually enjoy them neat if you feel like it, like a Corey Vrecken. But I definitely 8 times out of 10, maybe 7 times out of 10, would definitely put at least a couple drops just to get it to open. But the great thing about water, I think, on this, Tom, is that it really opens up the fruit even more so. The grapes, and you can really pick apart a lot of the light fruit. There's no dark fruit in there, but it's all the peaches and the white grapes and the pears and it's almost like a really good fruit cocktails in the back end. I think unfortunately the water might taper the caramels a little bit since it was such a faint thing to begin with, but it definitely takes you on a journey. And I think it also brings out some of the floral properties of the dream too. So even though it might take away from the sweetness and the caramel, it what it giveth, it'll giveth what after it taketh away. It'll give you some honeysuckle, some hay like straw. Wow, reminds me of when I was young, being around in Kentucky, where a lot of farms with the hay and the horses, and has that like organic kind of feel. Even though this is not like an organic barley, like the green, it's I think the water helps bring a little bit of those properties out. Mm. Yeah, it does sound yummy. Whiskey Throttle is good. I would definitely recommend picking it up. Tomars is going to play around with it over the week and post more notes in the comments. I appreciate it. That'd be awesome of you. Um, it's fun to do these types of things. If I can find something that someone else has got, a dram of, why not have a virtual experience with it? You got to admit that's damn good. My 1 to 5 scale, Tom, 0.25 increments. What would you give it? If you don't want to say now and you want to hold on, I completely understand. For the sake of the video, though, let me see about the finish real fast here. It's the perfect balance of sweetness, of the burn that you're looking for with a good, hearty dram, with the floral properties that are down there enough where they're not too overpowering, with um, the oakiness, the wood properties, the sweetness. It's all Oh my, it's very well done. He's going to say 3.5 out of 5, but we'll go higher after he has some more. Yeah, I think with some time, it'll even open up even more. I think I went a little early on this because I didn't want to open it until I was actually getting ready to do the review. So I probably should have gave it 10 minutes at least, sitting more in the glass. But for as well rounded, I think it is. I mean, would I love to have a little sherry maybe touch with it? That would be cool. Or I mean, but the bourbon wood cask is there. That gives it a lot of flavor already. I don't really need, anything else. I mean, maybe a spot of dark fruit maybe might make it a little more interesting, but how much? That's the question. I mean, it's already with this little touch of smoke in there, a little touch of, I'm not sure if you call it peat, but that Dunwich leather warehouse touch. It's like, wow, man. I'd have to give this a 4.25 or a 4.5 on my deal. It's lacking very little on what I would add to it. I mean, you got to think of the ABCD as Aquavite says as well. The there's no coloring. It's natural. These guys bottle, do their own floor malting, everything themselves. It's got a great strength. The ABV is 55.8. It's got a 14-year age statement. It's no color and no chill filtering. I mean, I'm not sure what else you could really do to make it much better than what it is. I guess the only thing that I'll knock, and that's why I'm thinking 4.5 instead of a 4.75 or a 5, is because it could be maybe a little more complex. And I think the only way you would get that out of this is if it was aged at least 5 to 10 more years. Like if it was, 19, 21-year-old, it might have that 5.0 factor, but it's damn good. mm. Oh, I got you, Tom. Going back to the comments here, um, he loves that fresh green apple on the nose. If you like that, definitely keep your eye out on the Springbank 13 green. And I have a bottle back here. It's almost empty, unfortunately, but it's an organic barley. It's very well done, and it's got a really, I mean, green everything. It's got. If you're not really into some of the herbal notes, you might not like it as much. But if you don't mind some herbal notes in your whiskey, definitely worth a pickup. I enjoyed it a lot. Not overpowering, just a little nice aroma. You're right on that, and it's just a hint of smoke. It's subtle, but it's a really nicely done. Just a couple drops of water to maybe get the molecules flowing a little bit, but you really don't need to do much with this guy out of the box. That's why I'm thinking I'm going to give it a 4.5. I might even inch it to 4.75 if I had more time. Maybe let it sit for a little longer, but that's not a bad score. And I've usually score Springbanks pretty damn high because they deserve it. It's your first Springbank. Wow, first dram of the night. I'll tell you what. For this being your first Springbank, you started off well. I do think it is better than the standard 10, which is about $70. It is a great dram though, solid out of the gate. You can't go wrong with the Springbank 10. I've got one back there myself, and the 12 cast strength is what I think you should get next time. Is the 12 cast strength? You won't be disappointed. It's like this a lot with a little more of that leathery funk. It's got a little funk to it, but it's not overpowering. I don't think it's any more, um, you know, out there than a lot of other drams. And if you appreciate this one, I think that you can't go wrong with that. Um, the um, the 12 Burgundy is, I think, is fantastic, but I wouldn't go for that unless you're in the mood for a heavily wine cask influenced whiskey. It's very Burgundy wine forward. I love it, but some people thought it was good, but not maybe a little too much wine forward. So that's the catch on that guy. Oh, you do have it. Oh, okay. Well, when you open that puppy up, you're going to be that 12 cask strength. You're going to be happy with that. And thanks for the feedback there, Santa Cruz. Appreciate you sticking by me. And Risky Throttle as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at this peated Glendronach. Hopefully, Dram Dude has a chance to come back. And sorry, I know it's well, he's in California. He doesn't have an excuse to leave. It's only like 7 o'clock, I think, his time. So hopefully he's around the keyboard. Give me a type there, Dram Dude, if you're still around, just to let me know. Yeah, the my friend Mr. Lee was gracious enough to send the Glendronach Peated Portwood. He was not as impressed by it as he thought he was going to be, but that doesn't mean that, I'm not going to be impressed as much. I might even be more impressed. I know he's a guy that likes a lot of heavy peated whiskey, but I don't think he likes a lot of things messing with his peat as much. But don't quote me on that. I'm sure he'll comment on the on the comments and state if that's true or not. I think he likes his peat like an Octomore, pretty pure and straight in your face. He likes a Lagavulin 8. He likes a lot of the like the Ardbegs, the 10 and a lot of the cask strength Lafroig, stuff like that. I'm not sure if he likes a lot of these cask influenced drams like I do. I love Mezzanilla, Amontillado, Madeira, Port, of course, Burgundy. I like it all. I'm a equal opportunist cask monger. Anyway, that's yeah. The wheels are about to come off, my friend. There's going to be a train derailment. Oh wow, we're gonna come back to this. We gotta cleanse again before we end the night with a good note. I could tell it's going to be good. I could just tell by the nose, just a brief drive-by nose, it's going to be good. Thanks so much for sticking by tonight. And has anyone else had the Glendronach Peated Portwood? This is a newer one. This was just done. If I'm not mistaken, let me pull some notes up here just to make sure I'm not losing my mind. This was November of 2017. It's an NAS, but it's they had a lot of success with the Glendronach Peated, which I have had at a whiskey expo. I have had the 12, the 18 Allardyce, and the 21 Parliament. So I'm experienced with some Glendronach, a great distillery. The 12 is, even though you might think it's higher priced at 65 to 70, it is well worth it for the 12-year because it is a very well done sherry bomb dram. It's just the way it is. You get what you pay for. This was a sample. I'm not sure what the price on this is, but I think it's $72 a bottle from what he was saying over in the UK. So to ship it, you might be looking at $100 or more. But oh well, you can definitely get that port influence right off the nose, and the peat, and some sherry, some really nice. Is it sherry or is it just like a dark fruit? I mean, the port, I'm sure, is a big part of that with like some plums and some. I'm thinking it's probably all It's non-chill filtered. Not sure about the coloring, but it's not overly dark for a port, so I would think that let's get the white base out here. I don't think that this is going to be something we should suspect for coloring from a port cask. It's very subtle on the coloring, so that's good to me. And not really much far away, maybe a little darker than the Springbank 14 and a Bourbon. So of course the port's going to be darker, but it's not far off. So that's why I don't suspect coloring going on in this. It's I can't even talk. Maturation process is done in port pipes. It says 46%. And bottle in which is finished is aging in 2 types of sherry casks. So that's where I'm getting the sherry from. There is sherry cask, 2 types involved here. Wow. Lee only gave it like a 3.5. I am surprised because I know he likes peated drinks, but maybe he didn't like the combination. I think he was a little surprised about how long it took to open. I have had this opening up for the last 40 minutes. So with the knowledge that he wrote in his review, I was able to really know that it's going to take some time to let this guy open up and really do its thing. So I might have the benefit of using his knowledge off his review to intensify my experience, which that's what whiskey reviews are all about. If you go in and not know anything about what might make it better, you kind of have to do a lot of work and figure it out, and that might affect your review. But if you go in, you already know it needs like a couple of drops, or you might already know it needs 30 to 40 minutes to open, or you might know it's going to be a certain way. It might be good for like blending with something else, that type of thing. So I have a feeling this is going to be good off the bat. I mean, 46% doesn't need anything. Um, it's good. Hmm. It's a little. It's a great like bam starting flavor. The weird thing about it though is it does dissipate extremely fast, and maybe that's what I didn't want to read too much into his review. It's because I don't want to be too affected by what he got out of it. I mean, I get a lot of great sherry notes in there with and the port separate because you get the plums and the black currants and you get the sweetness. I get some grunt, like some gumdrops, some of those nice sweet purple ones. And the peat, I mean, it's really well balanced. The palate might be where I might not get into it as much. Let's try one more taste, and then we'll put a little water on it and see what we get. Great initial taste. I think what we're going to find with this guy is I'm not sure if they're using Fino sherry. Now, if Fino is a part of this, that would explain why I'm getting what I'm getting. Fino is a very dry, acidic type of sherry that really will make your dram experience salty, dry, acidic, and the finish is bam gone. It's not a something that lingers. It's not like a Lagavulin 16. You'll taste it for 3 or 4 hours later. This is like the opposite. It's like, pal, I'm gonna give you this great flavor, but as soon as you taste it, it dissipates and it's gone. Hmm. Man, I'm getting like Concord grapes like on the very tail end. that kind of linger a bit, but man, it's very dry. I'm gonna have to do some more research, but I'm gonna suspect there's some Fino sherry involved here. I could be way off. I don't want to say it's a definite by any means, but I'm just going by personal experience of what I've, the Ardbeg, what is it, the Ardbog? It's a mezzanine cask, but I think there was Fino sherry involved with that one. If I'm trying to remember if that was that or the Springbank 19. One of the two. I remember when I tasted it, it was great, but the finish was just so quick. I don't think it was the Ardbeg as much because that had I remember it had a pretty good finish. It might have been the Springbank 19. I can't remember which one had the Fino sherry though. Mm. That initial flavor makes it worth it. It is damn good. Wow. I just wish it wasn't so damn dry. That is the part that makes you kind of, maybe it's a good marketing play that makes you want to drink more and have more of it. So, you're always sipping, so the finish doesn't really matter. Maybe that's the deal. It's smart because I do want to keep drinking more of it. So I told you the wheels were going to come off. Mm. Lee, thank you so much for the kowtow for the sample, my friend. That is good. I think I didn't read too much, but I think you might not be down with the finish. But I had the same experience with the Bunnahaven Cabanach, which is the peated, not the Choichik, but the other peated one that has like a dreamsicle. Great nose, great palate initially, but the finish was just so dry and just vanishes before your eyes. I'm getting some more peat though in the finish now. The more I'm drinking, the more the mouth coat gets better. It's not thin. I'd say it's a medium mouth coat on this guy, but it's one of those that does build with flavor and character as you're going through and having more, which is what you want. Scoring this is going to be tough because I do like it a lot, but it's so dry. Mm. If you're a wine drinker that likes a dry finish, though, man, this is going to be right up your alley. It's got that salty profile. I would be so surprised if this is a Vino sherry. I swear. I'm going to say, wow. Since I know what they're going for, it is doing what it's supposed to do. Even though it might not be exactly what I look for, I can't knock it for being what it is as far as the dryness, the saltiness, the acidic properties, and the because everything is there. I might have to go 3.75 on this one. The finish builds on this, though. That might knock it up to a 4. Because the more I'm having of this Glendronach Peated Portwood, the salt builds up, the brininess, the maritime aspects. It builds up enough character to keep that going with the peat, and I think that becomes your finish. It's just it takes a long time to get there. I mean, I let this dram sit out for 45 minutes before I even touched it. This is one that if you don't mind taking your time with, and if you don't mind drinking a bit of it before you're done, I mean, I didn't have the whole sample. Thankfully, I have a little left, but you know, you're going to need at least 2 to 3 ounces of this guy, I think, to really get a lot out of it. You're going to have to at least give it 45 minutes, I think, in the glass before you touch it. I think it's a good night ender. I think it's a good nightcap kind of dram. It is salty though, man, acidic and dry. So I know I said that 50,000 times, but definitely want you to know what you're in for on something like that. But flavor profile is damn good. I mean, I do like a Glendronach. I have not been disappointed by those guys. The peated, straightforward peated was good, 12, 18, 21. I know they get pricey when you get up to the 21, but hopefully they'll bring back the revival. I know the 15 revival, I've heard from a good source that it will be back in 2019. So get your pocketbooks ready because I think when they really release the revival 15 Glendronach 2019, I think you will be pleasantly surprised. But we'll see. Hopefully they don't change anything with it. I know it was a great gym before. By word of mouth, I never had it. I do want to try it, and hopefully we'll get a chance. All right, just going back to the comments before we turn it off here. Drink from the bottle. Whiskey Throttle wants me to drink from the bottle. It would be so sacrilegious to just take a big swig out of this, man. I just can't do it. No, I'd have to have at least 3 or 4 more big glassfuls of this before I would do something like that. We're not quite there yet. Keep your glasses clean. Drink from the bottle. Oh, Tamara wants to drink from the bottle too. Wow, I'm getting 2 requests, man. I don't know, man. This is not the bottle you want to drink, straight from. I don't know if I have anything back here. I mean, I could do it from the Bowmore 15 Darkest back here. There you go. This was my warm up tonight. I had a couple dreams out of this. I did a review about, I guess this last review, maybe. I don't know. Well, let's have a little swig. How's for you, Tom? It's really good. It's funny when you go to like a flavor bomb, like some of these guys, and you go back to 43% Bowmore 15 Darkest. I mean, it's still good, but you definitely can taste the thinness, I guess is the word for it. The you call that a swig. Hey, that's the best you're gonna get. I'm not that gone, so that's the best swig you're gonna get for tonight. I tell you what, my friend Mr. Lee, Mr. Paul, we're gonna be going to a whiskey expo here in April, and we are gonna have a great time. These guys are bringing bottles. I'm gonna bring a Lefroy Carriages 2014 Amontillado, not opened. I'm going to bring a Bunnahabhain Marsala 13 bottle, not opened yet, and Octomore 7.3 that I'm going to let Lee and Paul finish off because I don't like it. I do like heavily peated Octomores like 7.1. The 7.3 is just a little too grape chalky for me. I just didn't get into it. But I'm going to bring some dram. They're going to bring like 3 or 4 bottles each. We are going to have a hell of a time. And I bet you after I get them on camera, we're going to do a live show from the event, do some things. Maybe at the very tail end, maybe the wheels will completely fall off and it'll just be no holds barred. I might have a big swig of the old, of a bottle. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. Not every scotch can be complex like a Springbank. That's right, Tomar. It's true. It's That's a good one. I'm happy with the Springbank, the Kilkerran. If you get a chance, Glengall does a great job in Campbelltown, and also check out Glen Scotia, another great, and the third Campbelltown distillery. The 15, you cannot go wrong. Well, thanks a lot, guys. It's 12 o'clock. Time to put the wheels back on. I hope you had a good time, and thanks for hanging out. Salanchava.